One of the constant doubts of Buddhist meditators is, how much should I study and read and learn? How much should I meditate? As we know, the Buddhist scriptures have many volumes. The suttas, the Vinaya, the Abhidhamma. You could spend a whole lifetime studying them, learning them, memorizing them. Many aspects of the Buddhist teachings are now written down and discussed and commented on, and quite often this gives rise to people holding different views about what is the right Dhamma and the wrong Dhamma, which is the most important part and the least important part. The purpose of the Buddhist teachings, as far as I understand, is to help us come closer to the end of suffering, the end of rebirth, the end of suffering, to free the mind from the causes of suffering, greed, anger, delusion. So the amount of study and learning we do will partly depend on how well we're achieving that goal, I think. If the amount of study you do is causing you more confusion and more doubt, maybe you need to reassess why you study and how to do it wisely so that it promotes more practice, meditation. Keeping the precepts, practicing dana, meditating. The study is not really an end to itself. It's something we use to stimulate our understanding so that then we can put into practice. And we talk about the 5 khandhas. And many aspects of the Buddhist teachings start as just lists of things, the 5 khandhas, 5 aggregates. Even each aggregate can be divided into other lists. The Rupa Dhamma, the first aggregate, can be divided into the 32 component parts of the body, the 4 elements, or the 22 subparts of the body. 28. The numbers are always confusing. 28 parts of the body, all kinds of form. On and on it goes. Consciousness, wholesome consciousness, unwholesome consciousness, dozens and dozens of different types of consciousness. And many people find it satisfying to learn them, remember them, but it can also be confusing or hard work, and also, of course, again, for one to attach to a certain view, one's own view, the views of others, what is right, what is wrong, sometimes argue. When you look at the 5 khandhas another way, you're looking at them, you just say, well, it's just one big lump we call a body and a mind, and it's painful having a human body. Whether it has 4 parts or 32 parts or 28 parts, it's painful. As you get older, you have aches and pains and illness, and heat and cold and hunger and thirst, itches and all kinds of things. You don't necessarily need to know all the component parts. It's not wrong if you find it helpful to study, but sometimes there reaches a point where enough is enough, and you need to actually get to know the body with mindfulness and wisdom as it is, rather than remembering the descriptions of the body, descriptions of the mind. We have to know body and mind in the present moment as it is. This is why we practice meditation, to develop this ability to know, to observe, to investigate, to know again, and to know in as pure way as possible, without attaching to the descriptions and the theoretical knowledge, but to just know from moment to moment the experience of body, of mind, feelings, thought formations, to know what's arising, what's ceasing, to know these things are impermanent. To know impermanence, you have to be aware from moment to moment. We can read about impermanence. Say, I know the body is impermanent, I read it, or I heard it. But to know the impermanence of the body, the impermanence of the mind, and that takes observation. And for it to become a liberating tool that will help you to be free from suffering, takes much patient observation with mindfulness. So we come back to the practice of training in mindfulness, investigation all the time, because we need to do it a lot. We need to do it over and over again, because our habit is not to be mindful and aware and to investigate, but just to keep getting lost into our views, the thoughts and the views, attaching to our views, attaching to other people's views. Somehow that seems to bring us some security. Often we give a lot of value to knowledge, how much we know, what opinion, what view we hold. Some people we agree with, some people we disagree with. But none of this is the same as knowing for yourself with your own mind, with mindfulness. As Luang Por Chah used to say, that the Dhamma doesn't lead to arguments. When you know the Dhamma, it ends the arguments. This inner knowing that we develop through meditation leads you to set aside this grasping and attachment to views and beliefs and opinions. You can hold a view, but you don't hold so tightly, it leads you to argue with someone else over the Dhamma. You just know for yourself what is what. Particularly you know what is the cause of suffering: greed, anger, delusion, fear. These are things you have to know as suffering, or the cause of suffering. That's why meditators sometimes go and stay or put themselves into positions where they actually are facing some difficulty, so that they can see their attachment more clearly. So sometimes you go without. Say when you're on retreat, you keep the 8 precepts. You take on rules like monks. We take on a rule like just eating 1 meal a day in our bowl, nothing else at no other time. Because it brings up clarity. You see your attachment when you want to eat at different times. If you only eat once a day in one vessel, the bowl. At other times when you're hungry and you want to eat, you see that desire. Even if you've eaten enough already, you can say, I've eaten enough already. Why am I getting so obsessed with food now at some other time? When you don't get what you want, you get angry, irritated. something to know, isn't it? Anger is something to know, it's not something to read about. Something to know in your heart and say, oh, this is suffering. If I hold on to this angry thought, train of thought, this angry emotion, I am suffering. It's to be abandoned. To abandon, you have to know, you have to be aware. Or if you go off to a quiet place, lonely place, go into the forest or on a mountain or to a graveyard to meditate, fear might come up. Fear really grabs you, doesn't it? When you have fear, anxiety about something, it could be just a little bit of fear, say like if you're having to do a job that you're not good at, or you're having to perform or compete in something, then you might feel one level of anxiety. If it's only occasionally, it probably doesn't bother you too much, but if it's all the time, so people who perform, entertain, perform sports, do high pressure jobs, it could be constant to the point where they get ill because of it. Or if you're a monk, you go off and stay in a forest with tigers or go to the graveyard. As long as you're in that place, you may feel fear. And that fear keeps going over and over again. It's not just thinking, it's feeling as well. You feel uncomfortable in your body. It's not something you just read about, it's something you have to know. You have to see if you're attaching to it, you're suffering. What feeds it? Where does it come from? Well, you're attaching to something, attaching to imagination, seeing something that maybe you feel like is a threat. You're attaching to the idea of life, don't want to die, don't want to be hurt. Maybe you see there's something around that may be able to threaten you or hurt you. That's what you have to investigate. You can't do that from the books. You have to actually meditate and observe your mind. So these mental defilements, greed, anger, delusion, fear, they have to be known through the practice, through developing mindfulness, investigating. We read first, we study first, but then we have to actually look, because if we never look, then they keep affecting us. They come up quickly and they overtake the mind and we don't know what to do with them. It's quick. Greed, lust can come up so quickly, very difficult to deal with. Some of the practice we do is laying the groundwork, preparation for times when those defilements may be stimulated. You know, when there's no defilement triggered or stimulated, you can still practice to prepare yourself. As we were just chanting, right effort is the effort to prevent unarisen, unwholesome states from arising. So they haven't arisen yet, but you're already preparing for them. You contemplate the impermanent nature of the body before you're attaching to the body. Contemplating the impermanent nature of fear. That fearful feeling, the insecurity, the anxiety, the worry, before it's arisen, so that when it does arise, you've already prepared your mind what to do. You have a way of practice ready. When you're getting lost in the attractive, you already have prepared your mind by bringing up the perception of the unattractive to help pull your mind away. Or maybe just prepared the practice of sense restraint. You know how to turn your mind away from things that cause attraction and aversion. Where does all this suffering come from? Stimulated by sense contact, isn't it? And the Buddha said, one way of looking at it is like your 5 external senses and the mind, the 6th sense, they're like 6 different wild animals, all tied together, pulling in different directions. Whichever one is strongest at the time will win and pull your mind away. Your eyes, your ears, nose, tongue, touch, and the mind itself remembering and thinking about old stuff. Each one is ready to pull the mind. It could be a crocodile or a snake or a monkey, whatever the animal is. When the time is right, he'll be able to pull your mind away. So you need an anchor, you need something in the middle, your mindfulness, to be able to pull the mind back so it's not running out through the senses all the time, getting caught into aversion and attraction. Where does equanimity come from? We were just chanting about how as you develop samadhi, you develop stronger equanimity, upekkha. Where does it come from? It comes from practice. Practicing mindfulness is like driving a stake into the ground, keeping your mind tethered under your control, not running away all the time. If you never practice meditation, you never practice mindfulness, of course your mind is easily preyed upon. You see something pleasant, you look at it, you keep looking at it. You hear something pleasant, you keep listening. You look at something that's unpleasant and you react with a revulsion or dislike. You taste something you don't like, revulsion. You taste something you like, attraction, desire. It's going on all the time. Mind is being pulled around, so we need to practice mindfulness, anchor the mind, so it doesn't just run after every object, it doesn't keep reacting. The bonus is you get stillness, and with that you get peace of mind. The more equanimity you have, you get peace of mind, even if externally there's a lot of stimulation. You keep your peace of mind as long as you're mindful. That's something you have to practice. It's not something you can hope for or wish for. It's not something you can buy. It's not something you can get from another person. It's something you have to practice for yourself. When the mindfulness comes up, then you can investigate the Dhamma. You can use the wisdom of the Buddha and apply it or confirm it for yourself. It's like having heard about impermanence, change, transient nature of things. Once you're mindful, you can actually turn your mind to observe it. Thoughts and feelings arising, ceasing, sense contact arising, ceasing, nothing lasts. However attractive it may seem, it doesn't last. However repulsive, doesn't last. Pleasure and pain, they arise, they cease. That's something to know with the mind. As you become more mindful, you become more careful, more restrained. You look after your mind, you look after your life. Because you're not running after things so much. You're knowing things rather than just being a prey to every desire, every attachment that comes up. If you have more mindfulness and then you're investigating impermanence, it gives you a lot more freedom. Even if you find you've got some unpleasant emotion triggered, you know you don't have to hold on to it. You can let it go because it's impermanent. You just have to be patient enough and keep putting the effort in until you can let go. Anger can be let go of, lust can be let go of, fear can be let go of. You just have to keep practicing until you can do it. Ultimately nothing has to overcome us or win over us. But we have to use the Dhamma that we've heard and put it into practice. When we do that, then the Dhamma will look after us. The one who practices the Dhamma will protect them, look after them. So maybe I'll leave you with those reflections tonight.